From the 305 to the 303, welcome to TCSP. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Brian and the Casually Serious Band. The neighborhood, the beautiful. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Casually Serious podcast. As you can see, it's just me alone right here in the studio. Our brother Ken Man is off on vacation for the next few weeks, actually. But don't worry about it. I know everybody was losing their minds on Tuesday. What the hell am I going to do on Tuesday night if I can't watch the Casually Serious podcast? I apologize for the 2-day delay. But let me tell you, it's going to be worth it. We've got another amazing special guest, which if any of you folks decided to look at maybe the title or the description of this current live video, you would know who it is. If you don't know, now you know. It's my good buddy, Stony Grantham. Let's go ahead and bring him in right now. What the heck? I don't have anything else to say. Sorry, we're still working on a budget out here, and that might not have been the greatest graphic, but it is what it is. Stony, welcome to TCSP, man.
Good enough. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, man. It's close as hell to Friday. I'm feeling good. Other than some of the things that have transpired over the last few days, actually, this last month has been kind of shit. But at any rate, we're gonna power through this episode and have a little bit of fun doing it. So for folks that don't know, we're going to talk about 4 of our favorite albums from our record stash each, and go into a little bit of detail, a little bit more detail than usual, less detail, depends on how much time and how long we both ramble. But before we get all that going, Stony, I know you are in 11 bands right now. Do you have anything going on right now with your current projects that you want to get out, possibly let everybody know about before we start rolling with the show?
Well, the band Bifist, which I'm a member of, based in San Antonio, Texas. We're August 21st. We'll be appearing in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Nice.
With Ripper Owens and Cage from California, and lots of other cool fucking bands, man. Some of this Sky from Cleveland, Ohio, or I'm not sure Cleveland, but Ohio. A few others, but I'm drawing a blank on that. I wish I was looking at the flyer, but I know it is August 21st in the Fort Worth area, and it's Ripper Owens, Bifist, and Sun the Sky and Cage, and we're looking forward to it, man. And
that's badass, man.
This would be my opportunity for one more, the shameless plug time.
Yes.
The latest Bifist album, released by Pure Steel, the German label. This is called In the End, and it's got fallen angels falling to hell or falling up to heaven, if you prefer that. But anyway, if you like your classic kind of traditional power metal with a modern production, give it a whirl.
If I'm not mistaken, you have a song called In the End, is that right?
Yeah, that's the title track.
Okay, that's what I thought. And the reason why I say this is because for fans of the Casually Serious podcast, will know that we have used the intro to that song as well as at least 2 other songs from that album. Cool, as the intro for this before we even got with Dr. Brian and the Casually Serious Band. So we'd like to thank you.
I was digging on his riff too just now.
Yeah.
One other thing, we have a new music video out. You can find it on YouTube, probably Facebook, Bifist Facebook, Bifist.com, but on YouTube, it's Bifist Universal Metal. It's a brand new music video, just released probably 2 weeks ago,
Nice.
Somewhere in that time period. So thanks for the shameless plug.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think it's crazy that videos are still being made.
I'm glad you had me and brought me in, and the beer is cold, and
nice.
The metal awaits, or rock and roll, or whatever kind of music you like.
Well, as I said at the top, we've got a lot of things to discuss, and unfortunately, some of the more tragic things that have transpired over the course of the last month have been the deaths of some amazing musicians.
Yeah,
and we can obviously go back in time pretty far. We could probably start in the late 80s and start telling some of the amazing musicians, unfortunately, that have passed away. But what we decided to go right now is I decided to dig into sometime around 2010. And I was going to go ahead and list off the names of some pretty important people in music that have passed on since 2010. And the list was staggering. As I was shocking, isn't it? Yeah, as I was saying the names, I remember telling my wife, I was like, "Hey, listen to this," and she was down there tearing up, like she, and I was choked up. Just look, I mean, it's almost like when you see these people's names and know that they passed away, it reminds you that like the fantasy is a fantasy. Do you know?
When I saw it, I know what you're saying. When I saw it, it was almost like reliving it, almost in a way.
Yeah,
all over again, because
we do try to forget it.
A couple of them I hadn't really thought about in a while, and it was kind of a rude awakening to, oh my God, they are gone.
It's not cool. It's not cool at all. So
no, it's not cool.
So I'm going to go ahead.
Unfortunately, that not cool thing is going to happen to all of us. So that's not cool either.
Yeah, as we're sitting here listing some people who were massively successful, who might not have had a lot of money, but probably did, and will enjoy riches and fame that we will never know in our entire lives.
Perhaps,
I suppose it is. It is no matter who you are, you still have to pay that piper. So,
yep.
At any rate, we decided to use this to segue into another bit of information today. So I'm going to go ahead and start listing them off right now. I decided not to put this in video form. It would take too long, not to mention we've got a lot of friends and family on Spotify that are listening to us that aren't seeing us. So sometimes the visual effects and the visual aids and stuff like that don't really help. So I'm just going to start listing off some names. And Stony, like I said, if you want to go ahead and, let me stop you there. Whenever I say a name you want to talk about, by all means. So let's start off with a guy that I actually saw twice with you, once by himself with Dio at the back room in Austin for the Slay the Dragon? Was that what it was? Killing the Dragon tour. Thank you. Yeah. And another time we were, second row for Heaven and Hell out here in Red Rocks. So,
Bob, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah, go ahead. Ronnie James Dio, go ahead.
How can you not stop it right there, man?
Right.
That's the first name right out of the gate. There'll never be another one like him, obviously.
Never.
Everything he did with Rainbow, not to mention Elephant and before that, but Rainbow Rising, Rainbow Long Live Rock and Roll, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. He does that trilogy of albums, then a live album in Germany as well, and then with them. And then, well, that's not enough. Okay, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath Mob Rules. Then decides, oh, fuck this, I'm going to do my whole, I'm going to go solo and give you Holy Diver right out of the gate.
It does a pretty sick job at everything.
And basically keeps it up till the day he dies. And what a voice, right? Man, there's nobody else sounds like Dio. Ronnie James Dio.
No, it was one of the more sad things that I remember seeing. And I cried. It more so because as usually is the case, I feel like, okay, some memories are gone now. Well, not memories, but some portion of my life is now gone because Dio has gone with it. But when I go, I'm not going to leave behind volumes of lyrics and vocal patterns that people are going to marvel over for the rest of their life. Right. At the very least, I might get a really, really unpopular joke in there. But
I'll probably tell one about you if you go before I do.
There you go.
I'm sure I'm probably going before you. So.
I'm fucking positive of it.
I'm positive. One last thing. I know we have to move, but I've heard that when me and you saw him at Red Rocks, he was already suffering from stomach cancer.
Yeah.
And, what a trooper, man! Still going out there and belting it out and bringing people joy, and incredible career, incredible life, man.
As you know, I have an amazing memory, and I remember very vividly being in that crowd, and there was a massive separation. There was almost an ocean of time between our age group and the other people there who were not there to see Heaven and Hell, but they were there to see a band called Coed in Cambria. And I remember talking to a couple of them going, I heard these guys are like, they were like, they played early heavy metal. And I'm like, well, the band kind of invented heavy metal. And then this other guy sort of invented the devil horns. It's just a little bit of history involved in that. I just decided to get off the high horse and not bother explaining to them what they were about to
witness. After that, you're like, but never mind. We digress. Right?
Yeah. Like, I implore you, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
That was a crazy. I
guess some people may never know. It depends. I guess how much archaeology you're into, and how much you want to dig for it. But hats off to Ronnie James Dio, first of all. And roll on, Bob. Sorry,
can't kill rock and roll, man. All right, so like I said, we've got Ronnie Dio, we've got Paul Gray of Slipknot, Peter Steele of what was the blood type? Type O negative.
Type O negative.
Thank you. Polystyrene from X-Ray Specs, Janie Lane, Clarence Clemens, Jerry Rafferty, Amy Winehouse, Whitney Houston, Bob Welch, Adam Yauch, a.k.a. MCA, Robin Gibb, Mike Scaccia from Ministry fame, Ray Manzarek, Jeff Hanneman of Slayer, Richie Havens, Clive Burr, original drummer of Iron Maiden.
My favorite one.
My favorite as well. Lou Reed, Joe Cocker, Lemmy.
Okay. Got a time to check back in.
I knew better.
The passing of Lemmy, dude, was just as heavy as the passing of Dio. And for different reasons, maybe a lot of the same reasons, but they didn't have a lot in common musically, but Jesus Christ, man. Probably every bit as influential, if not more. Lemmy Kilmister, Motorhead. Those guys bridged the gap like nobody ever did between punk and metal, dude, and made it okay for both groups to love them. And everything's going to remain undersaid. There's really no way you can, and that goes for Dio as well. But when you talk about Lemmy and Motorhead, might as well be talking about Clint Eastwood when it comes to westerns.
Right, and for someone like yourself, a bass player, this band is a very bass forward band. Obviously, the lead singer is the bassist, so there's a big reason for that. While you're a massive fan, another reason why I'm a massive fan of drum forward bands like Slipknot and some of these other bands,
absolutely.
And when they're doing it well in prolific manner, it's even more crushing when they leave this earth. And Lemmy was just one of those guys that you heard stories about, that he was just never a dick. You know what I mean? To be that guy, that godlike, and not be a dick didn't make any sense.
Actually a true gentleman in every sense of the word, and a voice gnarlier than the bass, and the bass is the gnarliest bass ever. So.
Beautiful.
But man, what a life that guy led. Unbelievable.
Yeah, all the Rainbow Room stories. There's a lot of beauty around involved in him, and I was lucky enough to see him at a Mayhem festival. I believe it was Motorhead, Megadeth, Slayer, and Slipknot, or something like that. Anthrax was involved too, so I was able to see them at least one time. So
awesome, dude, awesome.
So anyway, I'll start over. Dio, Paul Gray, Peter Steele, Polystyrene, Janie Lane, Clarence Clemens, Jerry Rafferty, Amy Winehouse, Whitney Houston, Bob Welch, MCA, Robin Gibb, Mike Scaccia, Ray Manzarek, Jeff Hanneman, Richie Havens, Clive Burr, Lou Reed, Joe Cocker, Lemmy.
Stop.
Right.
Joking.
We got BB King in 2015, AJ Pero of Twisted Sister 2015, Scott Weiland, Nick Menza of Megadeth, Prince, Paul Kantner of Jefferson Airplane, Jimmy Bain, David Bowie, Glenn Frey, George Michael, Pat Denizio of Smithereens, Malcolm Young.
Damn, dude. What are you going to say about that?
Right. Malcolm Young. I knew you want me to stop there, right?
Well, I don't want to keep making you stop at the engine of AC/DC, man. Angus Young is probably, he might be the icing on top of the cake and all that. But in the engine room, Malcolm Young, dude, it's amazing. There'll never be, again, same as Lemmy and Dio. Another Malcolm? No
right.
More Malcolm. There's no Malcolms up there. Anyway, continue.
And after Malcolm Young, there will be another Fats Domino, Tom Petty, Walter Becker of Steely Dan, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, Greg Allman, Chris Cornell, Jay Giles, Sib Hashian, original drummer, touring drummer in Boston.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry, Aretha Franklin. I'm not sure if you heard of those two folks. Steve Soto was a founder of the Adolescents and Agent Orange. Vinnie Paul, Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries, Ginger Baker, drummer of Cream, Eddie Money, Rick Ocasek, Keith Flint of Prodigy, Neil Peart, Eddie Van Halen, and recently Mike Howe, also recently Eddie Van Halen, but Mike Howe, Joey Jordison, and Dusty Hill. And I mean, look, that's an absolutely staggering cross-section of music from, let's just freaking say 1975 till 2010 at that point. That is insane.
Hey, did you include Neil Peart?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I guess I had gone numb by the time you got down to his name.
Yeah, not only that, I might have just went here and just kind of agreed.
You didn't want to face it either?
I still refuse to even acknowledge the fact that man is gone.
That's the one. I'm sorry to have to talk about it for a second, but myself, and I know you, along with a whole lot of other people, that's the one that freaked the fuck out of me because Rush and Neil Peart's family kept it completely out of the press and that his illness, and it was a complete shock to everybody, dude. A lot of these people, unfortunately, that they're ill, they're not doing so well a few years leading up to their demise. But Neil Peart, man, nobody knew anything. When I heard that, I can't even describe it, dude. It was all like a family member, almost, really strange.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be the case. There's going to be something that's going to happen to me when Stevie Nicks goes. Like, there's a few people that were like attached to me in some massive way. Neil Peart is definitely one of those people. I would say he gave me inspiration to be a drummer, but there was a lot of people involved in all of that. He was just one of those guys that I aspired to try and be close to as a percussionist in some way, like maybe get my hi-hat work to be as good as his. That's it. But
you and a generation and a half or more,
right.
Probably several generations.
Everyone else, yeah.
You were talking about people like Stevie Nicks that are going to freak you out. Me and my better half last night were talking about it, and I told her, or I said, everybody's going to flip the fuck out when Ozzy dies, dude. For some strange reason. And she's like, I wonder why. Why is that? Why more some than others? And I was just like, he's Ozzy, dude. I don't know. I really can't answer that question. But when Ozzy goes, it's going to be weird, dude.
When it comes to, let's go ahead in the same breath, throw in like Gene and Paul from Kiss, or anybody from Kiss, the first four from Kiss, Ace and Peter. When any of those people go, because of the movement surrounding them as a band, I think
Ace Frehley, right?
Right. That's what I mean. Just any of those bands. It hurts them. It hurts the most of them because you realize that's over. And again, I think one of the reasons why it's sad for me to acknowledge the people that I just listed on this list as being gone is because I don't know that anybody is standing behind the curtain waiting to take their place.
Yeah.
In music, I don't know of a if the last time I had heard anyone say that this guy's the next Dio, or this person is the next Jeff Hanneman, this person is the next Prince. For God's sake, that'll never happen. Right. The next Petty, the next Allman. There's just no. There's no.
It's like saying there's no way. Who's the next Mickey Mouse, dude?
Right, but we can also go before those folks, and we can pick out a lot of people that influence those people, and see that they sort of. I'm so sorry, I'm hitting my mic here. They had the baton passed to them as well from a generation of people. I just don't feel like that's happening anymore.
Well, most of them felt like us when John Lennon was shot. I'm sure, right? That's who influenced most of those guys.
Yeah, what year was that?
Oh, now that didn't happen till what, 77? Somebody quote me, prove me wrong, but I want to say 77.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was 1980.
Was it really?
Yeah, I remember being a 1980s thing just from a clip in a movie. I don't know. Someone says John Lennon's gonna die, and then has it happened yet? I think it might be Hot Tub Time Machine. Yeah.
Well, I know what Elvis died in 77. That's what I was thinking about.
Well, thank you very much, Internet.
If we're about to move on from this, I'm not sure if we are, but if you're ready to move on from this yet, but a few honorable mentions. Also,
yes, go ahead by all means. Again, I want everyone to know that list I compiled was sort of just names I had to have on there. There was 15 before and 15 after every one of those that I could have easily thrown in there. From composers to people that were involved in A&R businesses and record labels. Like there's a lot of stuff. I decided to go pretty much all musicians on that list.
Hats off, Bob, for the compiling and all that work you do.
Thank you. It wasn't much, but
some of the names on your list too, man. Like I said, and they're not even like metal names,
Right, not all of them.
Some of them, when you read them off, or I saw them, I guess it was last night. Like for example, Tom Petty and Rico Casett from the Cars.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God, that's right. And AJ Perro, the drummer from your Twisted Sister, I met him like 6 weeks before he passed away.
Holy shit.
And dude, he was such a sweetheart. Super, super nice guy.
All of those guys I think are, man, other than maybe JJ.
Don't fuck with JJ.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with JJ anyway. Anyone in Twisted Sister for that
glasses, right?
Dude, they were all like massive monsters of metal, dude, for sure.
Actually, dude, I don't want to get too deep in those weeds, but the one you don't want to fuck with in Twisted Sisters, the bass player, Mark.
Mendoza?
Yeah, dude. D. Snyder, did you ever hear that story when they did the reunion? He put a fucking, he showed up to the rehearsal and put a fucking handgun on top of his amp, dude, and just said, "Don't fuck with me." Told all of them, dude.
He's the animal, dude.
I'm here to play music, and nobody fucked with him. I guess
I guarantee you nobody fucked with. I guarantee you no one on the regular ever fucked with Mark Mendoza, let alone with a pistol in his fucking pocket or at the ready. But
do you have anything else to say about that list you compiled?
Well, I mean, again, like I said, since I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just sort of pigeonholed to rock and roll, I think we can make an argument that all of those names are involved in rock and roll in some way, even Whitney Houston, even George Michael. They're both, a lot of their music was probably thrown in a rock category at one point.
Sure.
Is it what we consider hard rock? No, it's not. But these people all sort of formed or were part of a movement of a culture of record labels and record label industry, record sales, thus vinyl and a bunch of these other things that wound up happening, tapes and then CDs and all this other stuff. So I don't know that we will ever hold people in such high regard again, because I don't know that we'll ever have a stage to do that. So do I have anything to say in closing about any of those folks? No, I don't even want to look at the list anymore, if I'm being honest.
It's depressing. We mentioned the last 3 or 4 days, by the way, again.
Yeah, we did. We did mention Dusty and
Dusty Hill from ZZ Top.
Joey
Mike Howe
Jordison.
Right, Joey Jordison and Mike Howe from Metal Church. And,
Mike Howe was the second, right? Didn't he come in? Did he come in right after David Wayne left?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he was the second guy.
Yeah,
that was
album moving forward, I guess. But and then he left for quite a long. I'm sorry.
Blessing in Disguise. Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's him.
Damn.
Wow. Yep. Oh, and the I'm sorry, I never got around to my honorable mentions, dude.
Yes.
Just a few, dude, that I still, I wouldn't say can't get over. It's been a hell of a long time, but I still think about a lot. Is Bon Scott from AC/DC, John Bonham from Zeppelin, and Bon Scott 1980, Bonham 79 or 80. I want to say 79. Randy Rhoads in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy as well, around 1985. Those guys, those things, those deaths right there, those still affect me to this day, and it's been God. What are we looking at? 35 years for some of that stuff, 40 years.
Well, again, we go back. We have to go back to the psychology of all that, which is to say that they were part of our lives, locked in a room, probably listening to them on a old ass pair of headphones that were huge, and that were loud enough to fucking engross our whole body as we were listening to them. So it was part of like the molding of our brains and how we started viewing music and listening to music. And for God's sake, listening to Lizzie, there's a lot of stuff that my stepdad, Tom, shout out to my stepdad, Tom Burnell, he would force me to sort of listen to like Iron Butterfly and Chicago Transit Authority and some of the old Roots stuff. Whenever he heard me listening to Ozzy or any of these other stuff, he'd be, Bobby, come in here and listen to this. And he was the kind of guy that turned me on to that sort of like, there's a culture behind this. There's a start to this. And it wasn't just what he was telling me. It started off, obviously rock and roll is a black thing and always will be a black thing. And rock and roll for the most part will be a lot of white people trying to sort of.
Well, until the British got a hold of it.
Right. Exactly.
It became something else again after that.
And there was evolutions of all kinds of it.
Right.
But at the same time, man, when you have these people like the people on that list that took the rock and roll vein or the heavy metal vein and did their own crazy shit with it and made it so that this is this person and there's no way to compare this person to another, but this band can't be compared to another band because it's this band, do we have any of those anymore? Are there bands that have come out, let's even say since 2010, do we have anybody on the horizon from 2010 on that will take the place of any of those people we just listed?
Before we entertain that, which I want to immediately, because it's a good point. John Entwistle from The Who, that affected me a lot as a bass player, and probably the nicest guy in Kiss ever that Kiss fans talk about, but the guy doesn't come up enough in regular music conversations. Eric Carr, With that being said, your question is, will they ever be replaced, or will anybody ever take that spot?
Yeah.
Right?
I know they won't ever be replaced, no, because there's no way that can happen. But is there a movement, is there something happening that or will happen that has already happened in the last 10 years or since 2000, the last 21 years? Is there a band that's been out since then other than Slipknot, let's say, shout out to Slipknot, that's been able to stay successful during this amount of time and continue going? Like,
I don't know. Can you see the utter despair and disdain on my face? Yeah, because the answer is no, in my opinion, which is just my humble opinion. Maybe someone out there can set me straight, but like you just said, aside from Slipknot and maybe one or two outliers, I think may have mentioned this to you before. It staggers the mind when I think of honest metal bands that can consistently fill up an arena on their own without any kind of packaging, adding 2, 3, 4 band packages. The last of the last is Metallica, and they reached that status in around 91. And like I said, besides Slipknot and maybe Disturbed, a couple of outliers here and there. The monster makers are no more, dude. Dr. Frankenstein destroyed the lab, so to speak.
So we're definitely gonna stick with the fact that these bands were we were exposed to them at a time when the only exposure for people, let's say the 70s and 80s, the only exposure you got as a band would be through what? Newspapers. You would go and also
print media, magazines,
print media, and then from that is like tape sharing and stuff like that, which is a different animal all of itself.
Right.
But you don't really get a lot of TV stuff because no one was really. You certainly didn't.
Most metal acts and hard rock acts didn't even get airplay,
right,
on the radio.
You throw them in on like a college night or something like that.
Yeah, talking about that though, 91. That's for Metallica. That's 32 years ago. 30 years ago. 31.
Jesus, God. Right? You're fucking killing me, Stony.
Math's not that important, but this 31 years. It's been 31 years since a band. Let's just call them a traditional. Okay, yes, they're thrash, right? But it's so long ago. Let's just call them traditional metal now at this point,
right?
Or at least in the family, in the vein, okay, of traditional metal. 31 years since they broke the last big act. That's not a good thing when you're talking about music industry or lack thereof. As we were talking maybe a little last night, when I said the mechanism of creating giants is no more. Now I hope I'm being proven wrong, and some band just explodes, But with the advent of file sharing, and which signaled the destruction of the record label and all their glory and power and might and money and tour support, that's the main thing. And record stores. There is no more Tower Records because of file sharing as well. So because of no label tour support, no Tower Records, on and on with that. You have mom and pop record stores if you're lucky now, and bands are paying their own way, and those pockets are shallow compared to the giant record labels of the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
And I want some sort of gratification. Like I want those people who made this happen to be able to sit back and feel the pain of it, but it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? It matters to people like us. That would love spending hours and hours just flipping through records, doing the hand, going through fucking, and then eventually CDs too, because I used to do it at Hastings and stuff like that. Like,
I guess I still enjoy doing that. I mean,
there's a few of them that are still out, but I think what it points to is our country being, overall lazy and wanting to have everything at the tip of their finger. Like, like everyone was just so angry that the Jetsons didn't really happen in 1999 that all of a sudden they were like, fuck it, we're going to be able to share anybody's music with anybody, not have to pay. They didn't realize that. I guess maybe they thought to themselves, it's going to be such a small amount of people that take these songs and pass them around. It was before like the viral mindset where people were realizing that, but by then it didn't matter. And kudos to Lars for being sort of like a greedy asshole and realizing that like part of his pie was going to be cut into if this went on.
A lot of people are still upset about it. The Kiss guys are still upset about it.
I am too.
Who can blame me, man? I say kudos to Lars too. Everybody was calling him a greedy asshole, but he probably worked harder than all the guys calling him that.
Well, they also they just made a fucking plane full of money, a large boatload of money from on the last years before file sharing started becoming popular. So they definitely wanted the longevity of those albums and those record sales to keep happening. And I don't know if they necessarily saw that forward enough to say it's going to destroy the record industry altogether. But at the same time, I think they knew it was a building block to a pretty massive part of the destruction of it.
I think the guys that are called greedy assholes that were rich before file sharing started happening worked a lot harder than the assholes that are calling them assholes.
Probably
to earn all that money and write all those songs and do
I
all
called Metallica assholes for making the Black Album altogether, and I didn't have the ability to do anything to create that album. So
I've said that before. Music critics, you know,
I can't do any of that. I can play it, but I couldn't create it. There's a difference.
Well, yeah, it just reminds me of real music critics or real music critics in the press or whatever. They sit around talking shit about everybody else's albums, but they don't do anything. I wish they should make real musicians critics, like the Geddy Lee's corner. You know, Geddy Lee tell you what he thinks about a fucking record. At least he's made some badass ones, you know.
Right, and I know that's probably like why yourself, maybe even McMaster and Ken Man were probably like, dude, why the hell are we going to put Iron Maiden up against Priest? You know, it's like. There's no way you can do that. It's such a pain in the ass to do that. Like it's hard. We can't judge that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a great fucking debate. It's an age-old debate. You know,
right?
We were happy. I was happy to be a part of that.
In the end, it didn't matter.
The only stumbling block to that is half the Priest discography was already out. It hit 10 years ahead of the first Maiden.
Yeah,
that's the only stumbling block. Really, they're both you know, precious to us. You know.
Well, let me say this as somebody who is in a couple of projects right now. How are you? And you said I mean, you're signed with both bands, right? We're talking Bifist. Are you also still with Shadowkeep or?
Yeah, same label as a matter of fact.
Same label. Okay, so how does that work out? Obviously, you were part of labels when the industry was still the industry. So you are someone that can actually answer this fucking question. Is there even a small portion of the industry available to thrive in as a band? And if not, why is someone like yourself still trying to be part of the industry if it doesn't seem to be doing much?
That's a great fucking question, man. I talk to other guys like myself too quite often. In fact, yesterday talked to I just so happened to be talking to Stuart Lawrence from Igniter.
Holy shit! All right,
I happened to play with him in Sad Wings with Jason McMaster and some other cool dudes, and we're just
Sad Wings, Judas Priest tribute in Austin, Texas, by the way, guys.
Tribute to Judas Priest, my bad. And we only, you know, if we didn't make music, what else are we going to do? You know.
Right, and that's the artist answer of that question.
Yeah, that's only the artist talking.
Let's talk about the business guy who's trying to fucking feed himself a hot dog.
Yeah, we're only climbing the mountain because it's there. But we're doing it very slowly nowadays because we don't, you know, the rich guy at the top's not tossing the ladder down. We're having to build the ladder as we go up ourselves. That's really slow. No, nothing.
A little bit of metaphor play for you, ladies and gentlemen out there.
I apologize for that, but it's true. There is no semblance, dude. There's nothing like it was. There really isn't. It's labels. There's labels. There's small labels now, and there are some good labels out in the world, but there's only so many labels to go around, and it's more like glorified distribution now.
Okay,
and you don't get any money from the label itself or tour support or anything.
I was going to say the overall, let's say the layperson automatically says, okay, what does a record label get you? A record label will get you distribution or the pushing of your name and your band and your album. Yeah. It will get you room and board at hotels. It will fly you around to tour. And again, this is what I'm saying. This is the stereotypical thought.
Right. That's the best scenario.
Best case scenario. Now, that used to be just something that happened back then, the 70s, 80s, and even parts of the early 90s.
Well, they would give you advances on your album. And of course, the band had to pay it all back. I mean, it all came out of the band's pocket in the end, it seemed like. So they didn't find that out until like 7 years in, right? But the bands, they were the last to know all the time. But a label, let's take Warner Brothers, for example, back in the 70s, who had Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper on the roster and Van Halen, so many more. They would foster you. They would develop you, artist development. You know, they would look after you, develop your career for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 albums. You're in the stable and you're looked after and you're developed. And you have good years, bad years, and when you have a bad year, they wouldn't dump you out of the street. They would figure out, well, let's get our artist back up the following year. So they would basically sign them to long-term deals worth lots of money. Now, about the best you can hope for is a one-year deal, and it's distribution. And I mean, okay, we're looking at 2 and 3 album deals right now. Both bands I'm in, but
is your record label paying for your studio time to make those?
Oh no, we finance everything ourselves now.
See, that's what I mean. That's why I asked this question, because I think anybody who listens that thinks about the music industry when it was alive and thriving, that's what you think of. Like the band just sort of, Stony, dude, wake up, you have to do your bass track, and then you just stumble in, dude, and you slap it out, dude, and you don't fucking pay any of it, dude. You go back to your hotel room in your penthouse, dude, and you kick all the bottles off your bed and you go back to sleep, right?
That's why what everyone thinks. That's why when we were all young, we wanted to become musicians, because in a weird way, that's what it was. But now it's Stony, wake up, go to fucking work, and when you get home, call me at 6:30, and we'll track at the drummer's house, because it's all digital now. And thank God, what would have cost $20,000 25 years ago or 30 years ago cost next to nothing. You got to learn how to do it all yourself, man.
Right. And again, I think technology will eventually would have made that happen, but it also would have made, if technology would have done what it still did, and there would have been a record label and a record industry, it still would have been a great thing for everyone. At the same time, though, there still would have been a lot of costs cut, but the artist probably still would not be seeing what they should be seeing, because we all know, even during the time of the heyday of their record industry, most acts were getting pretty much just screwed over. They were getting shit. They were lucky to be getting what they were getting, unless they somehow managed to keep their masters or anything like that.
Yeah, even in the big days of the huge major labels, everybody was still getting screwed.
Yeah.
Left and hard, But some of that's because the bands didn't know jack about business either at all. And I'm not saying raising my flag that I do either. I'm just saying that's the artist kind of way is, you don't have that much time to learn the business side when you're becoming a really talented musician in the first place,
Right.
Which is what only so much. Which is Tony Iommi didn't study, entertainment law. Because he was kind of busy learning to play the fucking guitar.
Yeah.
And so as for the mechanism, though, the support, the labels being dead now, basically. I mean, when I say labels being dead, I mean, I'm not talking about the hardworking guys out there all across the world. There are still plenty of great labels left. Okay. I'm talking, what I'm talking about, the heyday,
Right.
MCA, Atlantic, Warner Brothers, all these huge conglomerates, EMI, things like that. I mean, some of them are still around in a certain sense, but a lot of guys blame the record company presidents for being asleep during when file sharing started happening.
Yeah. Or counting their money, or asleep in gigantic houses.
And asleep with their heads in giant piles of blow.
Yeah.
Or in their, what do you call it? Secretary's bosoms or whatever.
Yeah, man.
The truth, I think the truth of the matter is that even if they had been wide awake and somehow figured out how are we going to get around file sharing and burn, you know what? I still, there may not have been an answer, I think everybody has a little bit of blame to go around. The public, the record label executives. Like I said, they may not have figured it out, even if they were wide awake at the time. How would you have combated that? Even if you were on it, 24 hours a day. Technology zeros and ones move too fast. And
let me ask you this, man, and I don't know. There could be a long answer, but before we get into our actual private stash that we're going to dig into, which is get into 4 records each that we think all of you should have listened to or should be listening to at some point.
A happier time.
Yeah. Do you think there is any benefit at all to do-it-yourself recording and managing? Like, let's say we went back to the days of me managing your band again, but an actual recording band, an original band where you were doing your own original stuff. Is there any advantage to doing all of that shit yourself now? Because that's really what it's all broken down to.
There's 2 advantages. You're basically in control of your output, right? And that's not that great, really, these days. I mean, yeah, you're in control, but I thank God for Pure Steel and labels like that are still around. They can distribute a lot better than we can on our own. Okay. The other advantage is what's the alternative?
Right.
So I don't know if that's an
just mailing letters out to people. Please buy our record.
Yeah, dude. The question was, you said, what's the advantages, right?
Anything, yeah, because it's all do it yourself now. Unless you have like you do, like you've got a record label that will do some things for you, but really it's more about an equal scratching of backs nowadays than it is anything else. They can't front you a bunch of money.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no real advantage other than being in control of your own. I hate using the word destiny; it's so cliche, but
say density. Density is fun.
You're not owned by the entity,
Yeah.
Other than that, dude, it's either it still enables us to climb up on stage and play to people, and that's as thrilling as it always was. I think before. I mean, I can't say how thrilling it was to these giants that came before us, but I'm pretty sure it was. They would have not been doing it if they didn't get a kick out of it as well. So. There's that. We still get to play live to live audiences, and if you can sell a decent amount of merch, and you're not out on the streets at the end of the night, then I guess these days it's a win.
Right. That's the truth. And the backing really was the most important thing. And I believe most people thought of getting on a record deal and a record label as their ticket to sex, drugs, and rock and roll and the lifestyle. More than anything else. And we can name people like Peter Criss and Ace Frehley that both wanted that lifestyle and didn't realize the work that it came to sort of sustain that ability to be in that rock and roll lifestyle, which a lot of people really would. That's really the ones that succumb to it. However, that list of people that we discussed earlier didn't really have a lot of young folks on there, save for maybe Keith Flint and Amy Winehouse, a couple of people that were pretty young when they died. That list is our pioneers of people that go far back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing. One of the things that hurt the most. But yeah, as far as the industry, I think you and I can both agree. It's sort of like it's gotten to the point of no return. Just like myself, who's been in the food service industry for 35 plus years, realizes people are now going to forever from here on out be able to order 1 cup of soup to be delivered to their house.
Are you serious?
And that's it. And
really?
I've seen people order a cookie, dude. So and again, you think to yourself, well, who are you to judge the person on the other end of that? Because I've ordered small things here and there sometimes during the quarantine and shit like that too. But the problem is how it affects everything as a whole. I think people don't really understand how many drivers you start putting on the road once you start having a town that's having a bunch of stuff delivered, which is pretty much what it's gone to, and it has been for a while.
And it's not just the person ordering it, but it's 50 companies willing to do it, right?
Yeah.
Or restaurants.
And so it's a saturation really of all that. And
go ahead. Was you saying that? Was you stressing that? I was going to say, yeah. It may sound like I'm waving the flag for the, the poor musicians and the fuck the file downloaders and the sharers and the labels. He's like, no. I'm guilty. I've file shared. I've downloaded music for free, and I'm pretty damn sure 99.9% of famous, non-famous, working musicians You name the musician. I'd be impressed if somebody said, I've never done it in my life. I'm sure they're out there. There may be one freaking freak out there that has never, ever, out of principle, a principled person that's never, ever downloaded a free song,
I'll tell you this much right now. Shout out to my bud, Chris Cooper, out in Austin, Texas. I would go over to his house and use his, because at that point he had something called DSL. I don't know if y'all know what that was. A designated signal line.
Is that the dial? Was that dial up, right?
It was one step up from dial up.
Oh, okay.
But I would go to his house and get on LimeWire and try in vain and tell him, look, dude, don't move your computer for a fucking day for me, dude. I'm trying to download this black and white concert from Kiss from Paris called Parasite from Winterland Ballroom. I just want to, and I swear to you, dude, I spent a year going over to this guy's house.
Did you like sleep on his couch?
Dude, well, no, I would go back and he was cool. He would keep the window open and all that, dude. He's a rad dude. And he would keep it open and I would go back. And what would happen in LimeWire was on the other end of that, you would see somebody downloading your stuff. So you had the choice to either let that person download it or you could cancel it at any moment. And I really do believe there was a Kiss fan on the other end of that, waiting for it to get to about 99% and then clicking cancel. And because I swear to you, it would always get big enough for me to do it. So my thing is, I used file sharing at the very beginning to find shit that I couldn't normally, wouldn't be able to find really. I wasn't compiling stuff.
I can see why you would think that because it's so frustrating, and it would get all the way almost to the end, and then it would crash, right? It would stop.
Yes.
But, who has that how much time to be that big a dick, dude? To just watch the fucking file for 3 days and then.
If I had enough time to sit back and watch it get downloaded for a good portion of time,
I guess there was other people like that too, right?
Yeah, there's someone on the other end who was just banging out a lot of meth, dude, and just sitting in front of his computer for like 4 days.
Biting meth, dude.
Just like, come on, man, I dare you to get my Allman Brothers CD. Fuck you, like
that's tough, meth, dude. Yeah, that's hilarious, dude.
But
yeah, man, we're all guilty of it. Like I said, I wasn't trying to wave a flag. I think it's an interesting subject, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Let's put it that way.
Right. And I really think that it's safe to say, in conclusion, in summation, the record industry will never be what it was, which is a good thing and a very bad thing. Industry artists are going to now have to be extremely talented in order to even be pushed by someone who is willing to put their money up for you.
Yeah,
or at the very least, you have to be good enough to make them at the very least 50% ROI, which would be return on investment.
Right.
So it's a lot different nowadays. And I bet you it would be a lot more sleazy if there was a model built right now. It would be much worse. But it's always shifted. It's in Hollywood now, and it's all the actors. And
even Hollywood's having a hard time, dude. I mean, staying ahead of the technological, the curve, dude. I mean, their shit is pirated before it's even released now,
Yeah, I've seen that firsthand. That's crazy.
It is crazy. And all this, talk about the record industry collapsing and,
all this hoo-ha.
Yeah, is another good reason why you should, girls and boys, look this up, buy this from PureSteelRecords.com. That's another shameless plug, by the way. That's a good reason to, because you're not making us rich anyways.
Buy physical products, man. Buy copies. For God's sake, man. Listen to your elders. Your uncle, dude, who smells like skunk all the time, dude.
Yeah.
He is the guy who listened to amazing music that was created from possibly the 50s, but definitely the 60s through the 80s and 90s. Listen to that person. Listen to vinyl. Go back and respect some of the things that came before you. I think some people in the Generation X era, like myself, that were born and raised in that time, think sometimes that millennials don't look far enough back or don't appreciate the music. And I don't really know if that's correct or not. I know that the music that is played now by that generation is very disconnected from any music we grew up listening to. But to say that they don't respect it, I don't know, but I just have that feeling that they don't. So,
well, I think there are some out there. The vinyl's made a huge comeback over the last, decade or so. I think it's actually outselling CDs, dude.
Well, I think we can also blame I think we could probably give the dance industry some credit for that too, if I'm being honest, and hip hop as well, with the resurgence of vinyl, because those two mediums are sort of necessary in those two genres. So they kept it going. You know what I mean?
The utter confusion that crossed my face.
Yeah. What?
Dance?
What?
Hip hop?
Sounds like what is that? It sounds like a bunny.
That sounds like a rabbit.
Yeah, thank you. Holy shit, we're old, man.
No, you're right. So, I mean, that's what they do in dance clubs, right? They spin fucking vinyl, don't they? No.
I think that's exactly right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know you've listened to most of this podcast and wondered if we were going to get to the point where we were actually going to talk about our private stash of records. And after 55 minutes, I think it's a pretty good time to do that. What do you think? We haven't had anybody.
We're running late, buddy.
Other than my brother Jay Mackin.
I'm sorry, I didn't mention John Lord earlier. So, best keyboard player ever.
Dude, there was a lot of people I had to skip over for not only for time reasons, but for I would have to go into detail who they were and how they connected to maybe somebody else they could relate to. It would have been a little tough. People like you and I and other people who know about music and a little geeky about that shit will probably be like, yeah, dude, I totally, I know who Ginger Baker is, like not a lot of people do,
Right, that's true. You're right, dude.
That's tough. That's a tough thing to hear, but you want to get into the stash?
Some of us old timers think everybody remembers everybody. The ones we all remember, it's definitely not the case, and we shouldn't expect that.
Future old times will have it all fucking documented on Facebook. So at some point they'll have no way to get around that.
They still won't watch it, dude.
Yeah, it'll just be taking up data on somebody's on a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah,
I have eons of photos that I've taken that I will never ever see again. Mm-hmm. They're just in a file that says probably phone pics from 99 or some shit. No, 2000. Yeah. I hope it'd say 2000. But let's do what we came to do here with our Record Stash Revisited private stash. I just felt it was necessary to put music in there right now. I didn't have anything planned after that.
I like your fancy big city graphics there, Bob.
Do you like that, dude? How like the tape spins?
Yeah, it actually moves and shit.
Anybody out there who doesn't know what a cassette tape is, just hit me up on the DMs, email me, thecasuallyseriouspodcast@yahoo.com. I will let you know exactly what a cassette tape is.
We'll send you a pencil for it too.
Yeah, I think I have some blanks. I have some long play 90s. I might be able to actually send if you have.
You had to have a pencil around too, didn't you?
Pencil and some Scotch tape.
Yes, sir.
If you want to splice some shit. So what we decided to do with this private stash is we decided that we were going to talk about 4 albums each that we think that y'all need to be listening to, whether it be regularly or, maybe not at all. Some of you folks might not have heard any of them. We're not going to go deep into bands that you've never heard of, and except for maybe 1 or 2 possibly, but definitely into cuts or tracks or albums of theirs that we think you damn sure need to be listening to, or at least give it a whirl, if you will. So we decided I'm gonna lead it off, right? Is that what we're gonna do? I'm gonna lead it off.
It's your show. You push me around. You do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. All right.
Yes, that's too fucking high.
That was just mentioned in a documentary that I watched, and you got to ask me about that behind the scenes. We'll talk about it. Anyway, this one album everyone needs to be listening to. If you do not know the debut album from Metal Church called Metal Church, you must listen to it. This band is absolutely insanely talented. And when we talk about sort of iterations of bands, as we just said, we know that this band has had multiple members after David Wayne decided to leave. At what year? I think that was 86, 87 or something he left.
After the Dark. Yeah.
After the Dark. And which is an insane thing. The guy was just such a huge vocal presence. And And if you just took him out of those songs and just started listening to each instrument one by one, you would still be floored. Arrington on drums, like, dude, like, it's just amazing to listen to the way that they played their music in 1984, 1983. Like, to me, this is like the very early beginnings of like prog metal, because they were extremely precise with how they played. And it was and if you listen, like, there's very few stuff that they have live, but I believe Metal Church Live, I think, is something they have out there that they did a limited release on. That was actually an amazing recording that I think starred just this lineup, which eventually dissipated and changed up and stuff like that. But there's some tracks on there. It starts off insane already. Beyond the Black is a great song. Metal Church is probably my favorite Metal Church song, and we're putting that up against Gods of Wrath, which is 2 songs after that, but Merciless Onslaught, which is an amazing. I don't really. It's crazy at the beginning of that.
Oh yeah, dude.
I do that all the time with my hands, and I remember when I first was listening to Metal Church again, I was like, oh my God, that's what this is from. Like, I thought I made it up or something like that.
You thought you were
I just got into Metal Church so hard, and then I stopped listening to Metal Church and went on with my life. And then throughout the years, they would come back in, Gods of Wrath, Ton of Bricks. It would be something where I would hear them be like, I fucking love that band.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh yeah, shit,
But I would be like, I can't get into them because the lead singer's not there anymore. The drummer that I love is probably not there anymore. So yada yada yada.
I'll tell you,
Metal Church.
Speaking on that band, I had the honor of supporting them in Bikefest. We supported them, I want to say 3 years ago in San Antonio.
Was Mike Howe singing for that one?
Yes, he was, and they were on, dude. They were great, man. And then
I don't think that you can suck. I don't think you can suck and be a new person in Metal Church.
No, I think
it's
not.
Impossible.
Well, Hal was there as far back as what, 89?
Yeah, because he was he was the guy who jumped right in after David Wayne left. So I mean, I don't know how long they went between The Dark and what did we say it was? It was Blessing in Disguise, which I think that was his debut. I don't know how long that was, but maybe a few years, I guess. I think that was a little bit of a kick in the rib too. Blessing in Disguise. That might be a little like, haha, David Wayne, you're gone. But
right. And then we had the pleasure of sharing the stage with them again in Cleveland. Oh, this is again, the first time in 2004 with Shadowkeep at the Brave Words Festival in Cleveland.
Wow.
And they were there as well. And Kurt Vanderhoof, he's basically the heart and soul of Metal Church, the guitar player.
Yeah, Kurt Vanderhoof was the guy who started it all, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And David Wayne.
Well, I was going to say he's still there today, which he is, but they're just lost the singer. So again,
right.
That. But anyway, great album, Bob. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. So I'd say I always, if you want to go back to some early metal stuff, Metal Church is great. The actual song Metal Church.
What label was that? Is that Enigma?
That's Elektra.
Oh, Elektra. Okay.
Rockefeller Plaza.
I had to put my cheaters on to look at that.
So this next album I would like you guys to give a listen to is something that to me was an overlooked album. It's a band called Ultra Spank, and it's an album called Progress or Progress. I don't really even know if I know which way to pronounce that word on this album, because this band was so short-lived and dissolved so quick. I decided not to put any of the songs up there. Smile, Click. There's just so many good songs on that album. But
was it a one and done deal? Like one album?
That was actually their second album. Their first album was a little bit more raw, but it was at the very beginning of the sort of new metal rap rock era, which they didn't really qualify for a lot. I believe they had some sort of DJ. It really, honestly, I hate saying this.
It reminded me of new metal, whatever,
Yeah, and they were lumped into that, and they went on tour with Slipknot. That's how they got very big. That album was starting to get very popular. Something happened with their record label, and they just stopped promoting it. And that album disappeared. The band disappeared, and I remember getting turned on to them basically from Off-Road Fury ATV. It was like a PlayStation 2 game or maybe PS3, and I heard this song like.
You know what label released that?
I do not. Let me see if I can.
It's all right. Don't worry yourself.
The problem was I know that it was probably just a subsidiary or an issue maybe with management, but they were really involved in that new metal beginning, and I guess they just they didn't really have enough fuel to push themselves as other big bands like Limp Bizkit maybe at the time, and even Slipknot, which Slipknot gets lumped in with new metal as well, but Slipknot is not new metal, dude. Slipknot is very thrash punk metal, and
hardcore almost.
It's very hardcore too. Yeah, like Get This is a very punk hardcore song. There's a lot of hardcore stuff on there. So
they're actually sophisticated. At first glance, it doesn't seem like it at all, but to the casual listener, but they have some sophisticated things going on in there as well, dude.
Yeah, if you listen to this album. Yeah, if you listen to this album, though, from front to back, you'll see that there was a lot of talent on there. But then after you hear it, only then should you go look at some of the clips of them in concert, because I believe their image probably did them in a little bit too, without being too much of a critic ass. I believe some of the people in the band on stage sort of had this sort of frat boy sort of.
Oh, really?
Come up, sort of, maybe sort of like, I don't know. I always said they smell like Axe and acted a little date rapey. Like,
the drag car going on.
It was just one of those things. But regardless, dude, and again, I apologize if there's anybody from Ultra Spank listening to this, but you are one of my favorite bands. This is one of my favorite albums of all time, Ultra Spank Progress. And from there, I must parlay right into this album from Slipknot, All Hope Is Gone. Starting off with Execute, but going directly into Gematria. Sulfur is an amazing song. Psychosocial got played a lot. Dead Memories is a great song. Butcher's Hook. I can just keep going. This is really one of the most technically succinct and razor sharp Slipknot albums you were
what's
ever
that one
to.
tune on there you just mentioned a bit?
You're probably thinking of Dead Memories.
No, the one that really
Sulfur.
Kind of the hit off the album.
Psychosocial.
That's the one, dude. My wife turned around to that one and she played it over and fucking over.
Yeah,
kind of grew on me, man.
That's the thing about Corey, man. Like, and the band. If I'm being honest, I don't want to just give everything to Corey, dude. They all write amazing shit, and when they come together to get sort of their choruses and things together, it's all extremely fucking catchy, man. And exactly like. If you're just a fan of someone who loves the scary, thrashy, heavy guitar drum sound, you're gonna fucking love Slipknot. And
give it a go, man. Yeah.
Unfortunately, when it comes to this album, anybody, I think it was on Roadrunner, anybody who is a massive fan of Slipknot will probably tell you that they don't like it. It's probably at the very bottom. And I think because it was such a commercial success, because first of all, you, Stony, I find you to be, and this is not an insult, very disconnected from the Slipknot generation and the Slipknot fan.
Oh, I'll be the first to admit that.
For you to be...
Wait till my 4 picks come up.
For you to be like, I know what Psychosocial is a testament to why fans of the band don't love this album, because it got spun so much. It got played because it was done so fucking well. It is a well-oiled machine. This is Slipknot at a pinnacle.
Because it achieved a modicum of success.
Right.
Kind of like the Metallica band's turn on the Black Album, like you said, right, earlier.
I do believe that, again, we could call it the Black Album for them too, simply because, but again, they've done, every album they do is different from the album they did before. That's never any different with Slipknot. It's always been, let's do something different than what we did before. And this album was just too damn good for some fans. But the reason why it's too damn good for some fans is because it's too damn good. If you happen to get your hands on All Hope Is Gone from Slipknot, listen to it. It's razor sharp from front to back. It's a beautiful listen. You definitely need to check it out. And I've got a surprise for you right now, Stoney. You might not think this isn't actually a record. Well, it is, I think, in audio. You can find it in audio. But visually, you need to get your eyeballs on this.
What the fuck? Wow, dude. That's crazy. So that's oh wow.
All right.
Yeah.
In 1976, Wings undertook an epic world tour, which brought their music to a live audience of 2 million people in 10 countries.
Wow.
So basically, it was captured on Wings Over America, which I believe is another audio.
Is that something you had in your personal collection?
It is, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
Yeah. So this video right here is what you will see many things on the internet. Where you'll probably see one of my favorite songs, Silly Love Songs, but Band on the Run has a very popular video because of this concert in particular, or this set of concerts that they put together. Obviously, the amazing songs. They got Live and Let Die in there too. Lady Madonna, which I think is a Beatles song, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Let's see. They have got. Man, I'm going over some favorites, but listen to what the man said.
Silly Love Songs is on there. Right?
Yeah, listen to what the man said. Silly Love Songs, Band on the Run. Maybe I'm amazed. Like this album and this band,
Blackbird.
It's just, to me, it's just such a massive. And I've had this conversation with you multiple times, Stony. I was never a Beatles fan ever in my life until that one day I sat down and ate some pizza toppings, and you put a headset on me and said, "Listen to this." And I don't think it was Sgt. Pepper. It might have been something else, because I was
I just probably Beatles 1 or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
they're all number one hits or whatever.
Right. I remember just saying, I don't love the bebop happy bullshit that they did. I really love their acid stuff and their freaky stuff. Yeah. And I listened to a lot of Wings because my stepfather, Tom Bernal, shout out to you, my brother, love you to death, Pops, would, like I said, maybe listen to a lot of CTA, Chicago Transit Authority, and a lot of early Chicago is very horn section. And this set of concerts for Wings was all about bringing the entire orchestra on tour with them.
Wow.
And all of it was amazing, man. Like all this stuff, like it's all played. Oh my God, man. Like I get around all of it, dude. Like Wings is one of my favorite experiences of all time. So any of you in the world who are have my age and don't know who Wings are, I don't really know what that is. But if you're younger and you want to see some of the stuff that Paul McCartney did with his loving departed wife, post Beatles, we're talking 76, 77, 78, right? With a lot of crazy bass lines juxtaposed to him singing, which has always been a crazy thing for me to understand. It's just Silly Love Songs. If you listen to what he sings and what he plays, it's extremely hard to understand how one person's brain can do that. But we got
on that. When you said I put those headphones on you when we were having pizza toppings one night.
Yeah,
I wasn't even that big a Beatle fan either at the time. That's the only Beatle CD I had in my collection at that time. I don't even know why I did that.
Whatever you did, combined with my severe relaxation, changed my mind on, at the very least, how they approached music at the time, which was miles ahead of anything.
Yeah, I kind of became a much bigger Beatle fan in the last 2 years or so, dude.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I don't know we'd have to go into it at a different time. But bravo, nice picks.
Yeah, I would like everyone to experience those. Metal Church, Ultra Spank Progress, All Hope Is Gone from Slipknot, and definitely check out Rock Show from Wings, which either that or Wings Over America. There's a few things that came out at the same time that are all the same shit. One of them is audio, one of them is video, I think.
The McCartney one took me by surprise. I didn't expect that at all.
Let me tell you, man, I am deeply emotionally connected to Paul McCartney and Wings.
Danny Lane, dude. The dude's no joke, is he?
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So listen, we're going to turn it over. We're going to turn the microphone over. Shock us. What's the favorite? What's the album number one you want some folks to get their hands on and listen to?
I think everybody should listen to this before they die. UFO. Strangers in the Night.
All right.
This album, there you go. UFO, big in England, never really made as big a splash in America as they should have. This is a double album, so I'm not really going to go. I'm not going into the track listing, but
so this was 13 songs split in two.
Yes, it is. Let's see the track listing. Yeah, it's a double album.
Okay.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or 13 on this original release. Anyway.
Okay.
You got Lights Out, Rock Bottom, not the Kiss song, but song.
I just sang it in my head. Rock Bottom.
And I'm going to have to go out on a limb here, Bob. This is going to offend you, but I think UFO's Rock Bottom is a better song than Kiss's Rock Bottom.
But it's not the same song.
No, it's not.
Okay,
completely different song. That's like I said, Lights Out. Anyway, this is UFO. Michael Schenker on guitar. If you've never heard of Michael Schenker, well, I don't know I don't know if I can help you. You know.
Does Michael Schenker have a brother? Maybe.
Rudolph Schenker. Yes.
Really?
You're like a detective, a rock and roll.
Yeah. And who did Rudolph play for?
The Scorpions.
The Scorpions.
Which is Bob's. Yes. Are you leading me there now?
I am not leading you there. No. I'm merely saying there's a reason why he is talking about this freaking band, because their musicianship is off the fucking charts. Even though I didn't have my exposure to UFO is because of you and Letty. So
let me go out on the your exposure is probably Self-Made Man, right?
It's Self-Made Man. Self-freaking made man was the first song I heard. And I remember saying, God damn, this is really crunchy and pretty groovy, man, for the time. Like, it was tough to fucking deny, man.
Well, think of this live album, 1978, I believe.
Holy shit.
And 79.
I was 5 or 6.
Well, Schenker left right after this, but picture a double album full of self-made men, dude. Okay.
Wow.
This is. And I'm far from the only person that in a lot of corners this is considered, if not the greatest live album, hard rock album ever made, in the top 3, top 2. It comes up over and over and over on so many lists you would not believe it, dude.
So let me ask you this, as someone who is very knowledgeable about this particular subject, was that an album you think they went back in and played with a little bit to clean up, or do you think that they were able to get what they wanted to get out of the original sounds? Have you heard anything over the course of years and years?
I've heard some. It's Ron Nivison is the producer, engineer. I think 99.9% of live albums are messed with a little bit, but I think this one is a lot less than a lot of the other famous live albums.
I had a feeling you would say that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. In fact, that's why Michael Schenker, one of the reasons he claims he stormed out, because they were using the version of Rock Bottom, his guitar solo, that he didn't like. So, and it sounds awesome on the fucking album. So who knows?
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
pretty crazy.
I don't want to keep your show running long.
No, we're good, man. We're good. Keep it going.
Next up is one of these albums, Scorpions Tokyo Tapes.
Tokyo Tapes.
Look at that fucking album cover, dude.
That is pretty crazy, dude. And back then, sort of like the Asian lettering and stuff was all the rage, dude. It's sort of like very major stuff, very edgy.
Yep. There you go. Look at that cover, man. That's intensity right there, but it's also like a weird sexual overtone going on.
You know what? We're talking about Klaus and company, man. I think that was everywhere, dude. I think even in there, even though they were very, very rooted in sort of classic, like, rock and roll.
There's the boys crossing the street in their kimonos in Japan, and
you like Scorpions?
Tons of live shots in there.
Oh, Mr. Mina.
Back cover is cool as fuck, too. Klaus Meine.
So anyway, does this album contain the hits that people know so well, or are we talking early? Is this early Scorps?
That's the thing, Bob, is this album contains none of the fucking hits that people know. This is 1978. This is the Taken by Force tour.
Ooh.
And they took Japan by force.
Let me just go out on a limb and say, I'm 48 years old, and I am knowledgeable with a lot of heavy metal and hard rock. I don't know if I've heard, other than the possibility of maybe Hound Dog and some covers. I don't know that I know any of these songs. This is
what real Scorpion fans, or I'm not going to course, I love later Scorpions output.
That's deep cut stuff, though.
Yeah, this is deep cut stuff. This is a guitarist Uli Roth that was on all the '70s output, and he's fucking sick, dude. And basically, it's pre-American Success Scorpions, pre-hit Scorpions. You're not gonna have any Rocky Like a Hurricane or none of that. No Blackout on there at all. But it's if you want to discover an entire different side of the Scorpions you've never heard, and well worth the effort, dig into that shit, man.
So what year is this? You
that
said
would be 78 also.
1978.
Yeah.
Holy sheep shit. Wow, man. That's crazy, man. So I mean, and really that album, sort of that cover in the back, it gives everybody the feel that they're already gigantic. That they're a massive band at this point.
Yeah. Can you see that? That does say 78 right on your.
It does. So we've got recorded live to Tokyo 1978, and the other one was the same place 70. I don't know why they had two of the same places, but different day, April 27th and April 24th, 1978.
Okay,
that's when they're saying that's recorded.
I don't know. This is kind of weird, but for some reason, all these albums, well, the first three I think are 1978 releases.
It's a good year for you, Stony.
It is a good year, not just for me, but for everybody, buddy.
That's the truth, man. And yes, the Scorpions obviously went on to have massive success with a lot of mainstream stuff, which again, probably wasn't much of a departure of their sound because they were already Scorpions at that point. They just, I think they just got bigger. Really, they became anthemic in a lot of ways.
Their songwriting got a little more commercial, a little more commercial and a little more hooky. But dude, this old stuff has plenty of hooks in it, man.
Wow, my mic is my camera is all wacky right now. I have to fix that. Well, regardless, all right. So, what are we going with here on the third one?
My third pick, Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous.
Live and Dangerous.
Cover, look at that freaking cover.
I've got my thing right in your face.
Again, I think it's 78. That's just a coincidence, really. It's not like some year I'm obsessed with or anything, but
no, I think you're full.
And if I'm wrong, then correct me, somebody. But after the fact, but
1978 Phonogram Limited.
Does it say that?
Sure does, buddy.
All right. I could be wrong about that UFO, but I'm pretty sure it was 78 as well. Anyway, the Thin Lizzy dude's got all the classics, man. Boys Are Back in Town, Jailbreak. There you go. Track listing is incredible. It's pretty raw. Like I said, like we were talking about a while ago, very little fixing up. I believe that they didn't do a whole lot of that. Emerald jumps out at you, man. Massacre is killing it. Warrior is killing it, dude. Are You Ready is awesome. It's a great album all the way around, dude.
Fucking Jailbreak, man. There's just such a good riff, man.
Dude, man.
It's so simple, but that just kind of just shows you, man, really. Like, it's just how you place it and where you put it and what part of time you decide to drop that in, man.
Phil Lynnett's vocals and not to mention the twin dueling guitars a la Iron Maiden. If you like Iron Maiden, which a lot of young guys do, a lot of younger people, don't be afraid to dive into this guitar duo right here, man.
And the Thin Lizzy is all Irish, right? They all started off in Ireland?
Yeah, Irish band. And
we would say Scorpions are all German, and then that would really count for UFO too, correct?
No, UFO are a British band.
Oh, okay.
Very big in Britain and around the rest of the world, but they had the Thin Lizzy kind of problem where, I mean, not the same problem, but as far as reaching American shores, they'd had a certain amount of success here, UFO and Thin Lizzy, but Thin Lizzy were just about to break big here. They had the Boys Are Back in Town hit.
Yeah.
And
massive.
They were just starting their American tour, and Phil Lynott, the singer, bass player on the front there.
Yep.
Came down with hepatitis. And
Lord.
Their kind of timing was, they went back to recover to England and they yanked the whole tour, and that was that, man. Basically, they kind of never recovered the momentum for American success after that. And UFO were on the brink of breaking from this live album when Michael Schenker left, their star hotshot guitar player. So There you go.
You know, UFO is one of those bands too that like Eddie Trunk talks about, and a lot of people who are massive fans of like historic metal, they realize that band in particular always gets a lot of credit from the fans, but it seems like that's where it ends.
That album in particular too. I think Eddie Trunk's favorite fucking band ever, dude.
Right. Yeah, he definitely.
Not to drag this on, but last but not least, again, these are just picks I love. Check them out. Don't check them out. That's
go listen. Go listen to them.
Yeah,
they're free on the YouTubes, but go buy them
on the YouTubes. Yeah, on the internets. This one here, dude. Rush all the way to stage.
Rush ruling under Satan's hand.
There you go. Back cover's cool as fuck. Actually, my back cover is different than yours a little bit.
I imagine it is. I just had to do what I can simply because, like all I have is a picture on the right. You have the one on the left and the head of the list.
And the cool thing about this record is it is a trifold. Whoops. So it opens up like freaking 3 times.
All big, so you can get 3 pages of how angry you are about how you can't play your instruments like those guys can.
Tons of fucking live photos. More notes on that side. You know. Look, they did the Kiss kind of thing with the original album, old album.
I love that. I love that. That's the smart thing, dude. Kiss and Rush are very, very connected. Kiss and Rush are very connected, dude.
I got a story about this one. Well, 2 things to say about it. Well, the one important thing is this is 1976, not 78. So it's 1976, and it's the 2112 tour. So this is recorded in their home in Canada. I can't remember, in Toronto, and what's that hall? I can't remember the hall right now that it was recorded in. I'm going kind of blank on that. Massey Hall in Toronto, 1976. Right. This album here, the reason it's so special to me, dude, is, well, besides it being the first Rush album I ever owned, of course it's going to be special, but there's like no fucking synthesizer on this whole album, dude. It is guitar, bass, and drums in your face, dude.
Yeah.
And him screaming like a banshee because it's still 1976 and he's still got the young pipes and Eddie Lee. There is a bit of synth on the intro. So let's say it's 99.8 synthesizer free.
Right.
Whole album. And it's just fucking raw and in your face, dude.
Well, here we go with the track list. What do we got? Starting off with Bastille Day.
Oh, yeah, dude. Bastille Day, Anthem. Fly by Night, Slash in the Mood, Something for Nothing, Lakeside Park, 2112
Wheels in the Bees.
Yeah, Temple of Syrinx, Presentation, Soliloquy, Finale, By Tour of the Snow Dog, In the End, Working Man, Finding My Way, What You Doing?
and again, this is for the most part for even sort of like a newer Rush fan. This is deep stuff, man. This is stuff you have to hear because I believe, I again, just like since there's always some sort of an evolution for every band, when they started getting, I know, dude.
Look at the amps, dude, and the stacks and it's just stacks and drums, dude.
I could not possibly care less about those amps, dude. I am all about that kit. I always was. Kit, dude. It was just like anytime I saw a Peart kit, it was just like it. I think I'm probably not alone when I think about it. I think about getting behind a Neil Peart kit the way I think about getting into like an Italian like sports car, like sitting into it, dude. Like I feel like that's exactly the way it is. I feel like that's how you would have to be able to drive a Ferrari in order to get into a Ferrari. So I couldn't even figure standing or sitting behind a Neil Peart kit. It almost would be like, what are you going to do, dude? What are you going to do? You're going to play
just
it?
Look at it. You probably just stand there right and stare. This album has a weird connection for me because I think I was in junior high or something, dude. I was probably like 13 or 12. And I would hear these whispers in the hallway. The older, kids older than me would Rush, this band. There's a band Rush, Rush. I was hearing Rush this, Rush that, and I kept thinking, I'd never heard Rush, but I thought that's kind of a cool name, This must have been around 1979, dude, or 70, maybe 80. And I'm in a mall in Brownsville, Texas, with my parents, dude. They go one way, and I go, oh, there's a record store over here. I'm just going to go in there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking through, like you, how do you do it? Looking through the albums,
man.
Yeah, there you go.
It's an art, man.
And this comes up, dude. And I'm like, oh, it's Rush. I've been hearing about these guys, right? I took one fucking look at that cover, dude. Sold, dude.
How much do you think you paid for it?
Probably at that time, $10, $12.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. I was gonna say I always feel like $12, and most people would probably think, oh, $3. No, like it was still kind of expensive to buy.
Regular LPs were like $7.98, $6.98, maybe.
But doubles, and live seem to be bigger.
Like 10, 12, maybe 12, $11 for it. 13. I know I spent at least upper 13, for it. But
that was crazy, man.
That was it, dude. I've been addicted. People would have debates of, all I ever heard was extra stage left, blah blah, and I'm like, nah. And I like that too. It's cool, But
well, I'll tell you this much. I think in this situation with Rush, I worked my way back because my first exposure to it was Exit. And then I remember going, what the fuck is this? What are these songs that he's playing anyway? Where are they from? Obviously, I had to go back further to this and then obviously go back to the beginning. But, and then there was another live album before Exit, dude. No way,
Yeah, way, dude.
Way, dude.
And you're right, dude. A lot of people just are unaware of it or never went back that far. But it's well worth the fucking trip. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Side note, actually, I have tickets to something that was canceled 2 times already, I think, for Primus doing Farewell to Kings front to back live.
Really?
Yeah, they were going to do that. I think it was right before Peart died. It had nothing to do with it either. They were going to do that regardless. They were going to have that tour going on. They didn't know anything about Neil Peart being sick, and then they canceled it. I don't really know if it had something to do with that or if it was really more about COVID, but they instead of canceling it, they just postponed it. And mine, I think, is October 21st or October 22nd. They're going to do that album front to back, and then probably a bunch of Primus hits too.
Well, they're going to go ahead and do it, huh?
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and do it, and that's going to be fucking pretty badass. Shout out to my brother Bill for hooking that up.
Is Les Claypool going to do the vocals?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, dude. Let me tell you. Yes, I've seen him do Rush songs, and it's just Primus doing Rush. So you don't expect him to do. He's not singing anything like that. But I mean, obviously, let's just say we
don't sound fucking Geddy Lee.
We know he can get up there in the high note, but it's very much like Deliverance.
Sure.
Sort of that terrifying backwoods thing that he always does. But
wow,
badass night. That's a nice set of 4 albums. Oddly enough, all of them being live, and all of them existing before 1980. So that's pretty badass, man. I'm gonna definitely go listen to a couple of them a little bit more, especially Scorps, because I cannot count on myself as being a Scorpions historian in any way. The only time I saw them was with you and your wife, dude.
Really?
Yeah, at Frank Irwin Center, I think.
You know what? There's a whole treasure trove of old Scorpions. It's almost like an entire decade you can dive into that, you're probably not that aware of, or a lot of people aren't aware of.
Klaus Meine is over here listening to these guys are stupid. What is this pop character? I have so much music.
Another Virgin Killer.
There was a lot before Hurricane, you asshole. Like,
what about Entrance? Yeah, great albums, by the way.
We worked very hard on those albums.
Yeah,
I can't imagine being German and creating that American metal the way that they did.
I can't imagine being German.
Hey, can you imagine being German, dude? That would be crazy. No, I'm just saying, like, can you imagine? How do I decide to myself? You know what? I'm gonna go and be a K-pop star without A, knowing the fucking language, and B, probably not knowing enough about the music to get in there, and then having to learn all that, which is basically what some of these non-American countries did. Although, I don't know, England did have its own kind of metal.
That's a Herculean accomplishment, if you ask me, to do something in a foreign language and become globally successful at it. Come on, man. So before you go, I don't like the Scorpions. Things like that.
I don't think I like those guys too much.
I don't like that. He has an accent.
I will definitely say this. I know I've already made you listen to one song from Ultra Spank. I would like for you to, if you happen to get All Hope Is Gone anywhere near you, you can go ahead and listen to some of the ones that are popular. But the track number 2 and track number 3 to me are sort of like the greatest songs on the album. Gematria, The Killing Name, is just a fucking ridiculously fast, thrashy song, and then it goes right into Sulfur, which was a very mainstream hit. It was actually one of the songs that I wanted to hear live, and I think I've seen them 5 times now. Wow. Yeah, 5 times I've seen them, and the first time I saw them was right after Paul Gray died. So they didn't have a bassist on stage. Matter of fact, I don't think they even had Jim Root, which I think he was going through a spider bite or something of his own. So somebody else was playing bass and guitar in the backstage, and it was just Mick, Corey, Craig.
Like Jeff, a la Jeff Hanneman.
Yeah, kind of like that, except the bass was sitting on stage for Paul because Paul was a huge part of the creation of Slipknot.
Did they have his bass track going, maybe?
They had a track, I think, and somebody else playing guitar in the back. I think is what that was. They didn't have anybody playing his shit. That's the truth.
Wow.
But I was never able to see the all original lineup, but I did see, I was able to see them soon after that with Joey and everybody but Paul with their the new bassist, which was amazing. And the thing with me is they just put on an amazing show. They're like Kiss in that way, where you get to see things as well as hear them, which for me, if you're going to pay the money, you got to pay for every concert from Christopher Cross all the way to Slayer. You might as well.
I'll be the first to admit, no one in the modern day is doing anything close to Slipknot, dude, live.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, dude, and it's ridiculous in a good way. It's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible.
I like how they're all my age, and they all sort of carried the torch of originality through metal without. Everything they do is sort of very punk rock and counterculture. Like they always say, you want me to dress with spandex and da 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 da. No, I'm going to wear this fucking prison suit, this jumpsuit.
Dude, a couple of them look like they're my age too. In fact,
I don't really know if Clown. I think Clown maybe 52, maybe the latest. He's probably he's the creator of the band.
That's like 24 months away from me.
24 months, but speaking in prison talk, I like how you think, Stony. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on this sort of private stash that we had going. We had a bunch of mixed information at the beginning, but we wanted to basically have a talk about sort of the last decade and the last couple of decades, and there's been sort of a vacuum of originality that hasn't really happened, and no evolution of music other than sort of pop and other stuff. And we're wondering if that's ever going to happen again. And I'll tell you this much. I will know. I know that even if I die at 80, 85 years old, God forbid, whatever the case may be, I already lived in one of the greatest times for music that you could possibly live in. So I could do nothing but feel maybe a little bit of sadness for the future of.
I was actually going to say, you're right about where you were going with that. There's nothing to be sad about. We've lived in the greatest music-based time in history, probably.
Yeah.
Besides, the guys that actually saw Mozart in person, or
Sure.
Well, we're the greatest.
They had a long way to go with anything else that was worth a shit. We did.
The gap between that and what we did. So, to have all this music at our fingertips is a win-win. Right?
Definitely.
Nothing sad about that at all.
And like I said, we know Ken Man's going to be off for the next couple of weeks. He might pop in, pop out. We don't know, but we're going to come up with something over the course of the next couple of weeks. Stone Man over here and we'll figure something out for the next couple. But regardless, thanks so much for listening. If you have been listening, we didn't have a lot of people viewing right now, but that's also because we changed the night. There was a couple of other things that had to do with that. But for those of you that came in to listen to us gab, we appreciate it. definitely take a look at these albums: Metal Church, Ultra Spank Progress, Slipknot, All Hope Is Gone, Wings, Rock Show, UFO Strangers in the Night, Thin Lizzy, Live and Dangerous, Scorpions, Tokyo Tapes, and Rush, All the World's a Stage. And we are merely players, man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Stony, thanks for being part of this as always. And we'll talk to you soon, guys.